Okay. Hi everyone. I think it's really important. And I'm sure most of you have set your discount levels for Black Friday, and I think we'd be interested to know as we go through on what people are doing year on year. But the point I really wanted to talk about first off, and I'm very rare, as you know, for me to have prepared something for today, but I have prepared a little calculator that I use when I'm thinking about discounts. And the point of my calculator is that what I think often gets missed is when we talk about discount levels. So, whether it's a 10% discount or down to a 25% discount, which is where some people are obviously going for Black Friday, it's often very difficult to not really think about how much volume uplift you need in order to generate the same amount of profit. And it's actually normally, and I'll go through a couple of scenarios here, it's often as much as pretty much the simple calculation is pretty much is about double the discount. You have to raise your volumes by double that amount. So if I just take an example here, so if you take a business, average order value of £40, margin of 70%, and a pick pack of £5. Yeah, at 0% discount, you're making £18 an order. So that's great and profitable. As you then move down the scale of how much you discount, yeah, it begins to show you on the red line here how much volume uplift you need to in order to get back to that same £18 an order. So if I take this example and I've discounted by 25%, I'm actually only making £12 an order at that point, and as a result, my volume uplift needs to be 47%. Now, you can, Katie perhaps will share this with people afterwards. You can play with any number of mine in blue. It's the same if I take a higher product, £100 and a 50% margin. You need to have a 40% increase if you go down to 25%. These models are actually, it's quite surprising actually how sensitive they are. So if I put a 70% margin in on that £100 item, it changes, but it doesn't change as much. So really what I find is whatever your metrics are, and these are obviously easy to get to metrics, they're in the margin calculator, Katie. I think it's just really worthwhile people really thinking about how much more volume do you need to get when you're doing deep discounts during this period. Now, I'm definitely not arguing against doing deep discounts. I'm just wanting to get people to just think about as they set their discount levels, even if in this example, the decision between 15% and 20%, makes a difference to be profit neutral of needing a 24% uplift or a 34% uplift. And those are quite big changes. And that's really my sort of overall point about people just thinking about what is the main profitability, then what's the impact of each discount level.
And I think we probably don't do this exercise often enough in our businesses, Ollie, do we? I think we probably all spend a bit of time thinking out our promotional calendar for the year. But I think when you actually see the cold, hard numbers like this, it is a bit of a reality check in terms of what you've got to deliver in terms of uplift. I guess one of the things that you could do to mitigate the impact of this that you might want to talk about, I guess, is the difference between doing those site-wide or batch and blast type discounts and perhaps using some of this on a more targeted and personalized level to try and manage the impact on your profitability.
Yeah, I think so. I'll stop sharing just unless anyone wants to. And Katie, perhaps we'll pop it into a
Yes, I'll share that with
chat or email afterwards with everyone. So I think the first thing I think about there is just before I sort of go into the sort of batch and blast bit, I just want to make the point that I'm not saying don't do discounts. I'm just saying really be aware of volume uplift that's needed. And the other thing that I think is also really important as we come into this period is, a lot of businesses do have big volume uplifts in this period. And sometimes there's a bit of a view around, their lower value customers, or, when you look at the lifetime value of November and December customers, I think sometimes there's a perception that they're worth less. And it's quite rare that you don't have a slightly lower customer lifetime value against those November and December customers. But the other dynamic that obviously people obviously talk about then is the cost of media during this period. And often, the cost of media goes up in this period. So, what we're saying is, you're discounting, you need to have a big volume uplift. You've got cost of media going up often in the period that is a further squeeze. But the real trade-off here is two factors. One is whether the conversion rate increases at this point of year, so that actually your CPA comes down in this period rather than goes up. And I think, anyone listening, it's worthwhile just checking back on how your CPA operates during this period. And then the second thing is then, again, going back to your retention dashboard and looking at what the metrics are for those customers. Is it really true that your November, December customers aren't as good, or actually, do they hold up when you look at them on a longer period? And particularly if you then go back thinking about the CPA, has it all actually boiled down to actually you're actually spending less money that probably counteracts maybe the potential loss of customer lifetime value. So it's quite a complex sort of things to look at on Black Friday. So I think, discount and discount uplift, number of customers you actually recruit in these periods, what's their customer lifetime value, yeah, and what is their CPA. And I think it's worth anyone thinking about this and really thinking about how much profitability needs to be driven at Christmas, looking at those factors all in one go.
And Ollie, I'll share around with everybody links to the relevant dashboards for just as a reminder
Right.
to get to your CLV and audiences and stuff like that if you need to create any cohorts of customers to analyze further. I guess the other kind of elements in the app that might be useful again to help you assess the impact of what you've done in previous Black Fridays to optimize for this time round is just understanding that impact of sales phasing before and after the big peaks of events, and understanding kind of those peaks and troughs, because I think, as you said earlier, quite often we all do experience a really big uplift in sales during the promotional period, but then just factoring in what that might look like when you come out of that promotional period in terms of how much money you're going to carry on spending on marketing, or just what that sales phasing looks like when you drop out of the other side.
I think there are a few factors this year that seem to be there's because of being I think I can't remember quite how many of the days work, but you've got slightly less run into Christmas for this year. So I find it's very rare when I look at businesses that if they've had a good, Black Friday, and we'll talk about the length of Black Friday in a moment, but that they don't continue having a good December. I don't. For me, it's more often the market is, I'm talking to we've seen a number of clients who are, almost beginning their intro bit to Black Friday now. It's not necessarily just, now starting the weekend before Cyber Monday, which I think is standard pretty much. It's definitely I think last year I was talking it being sort of Sunday before through to Monday. There are quite a lot of people I'm seeing who are on their promo plans going on the Friday before that weekend, etc., etc. So it's that constant extension of period. I mean, generally, Katie, when we've looked at it previously, the extension of period has been a positive for most people. So, but I funny, I saw a client message this morning saying that they were doing some exclusive offers for their for their best customers actually, starting next week prior to Black Friday. So I think it's going to be a very long month from here on in, around what the timings are. So I don't know how everyone else on the call it. So I can't chat to people in the way we used to be able to, um, to be able to just find out how everyone is setting that, and what the calendars are.
Yeah, if anybody wants to share in the chat what they're doing in their promotional calendars or tactics so far, that'd be great to hear from you guys as well.
Lulu's you've got lots of insight perhaps from other brands, Lulu, if you're there and able to chat. Or maybe they can. Jackie's hand went up.
Am I chatting now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. Excellent. We can hear
I was
something
just
here.
going to let you know that the chat's disabled, so we can't chat.
Ah, that's good. But you can now talk, Jackie. That's much better.
Well, so I think that this timing this year is really odd because I was just comparing our figures for last week, this week and last week. Our week ends on a Wednesday, weirdly, and we're way down on last year. And I think that's because last year Spirit of Christmas was this week, and that always that really gives our website a big boost and a kick. And from there on in, we start the sort of increase in week on week up to Black Friday and beyond. And having a week less, I think, is going to be quite an impact.
Yeah, and I think Jackie, you're right. From brands like you and I'm not sure if Tao you're at Spirit or not, but it definitely there's definitely some slightly non-like for like bits which will make it more difficult, which I think probably is again why some people. Well, I think that the going earlier bit, I just think is a general, more general movement.
And Thanksgiving is later, isn't it? So
yeah, everything seems to be a bit. So it just becomes a bit more concertinaed. So yeah, so Jackie, when are you actually? When are you? Do you have an official launch date for yourself?
So for Black Friday, we're at the moment we're working towards starting on the Monday before the Friday, but it's always the thing is, it gets longer and longer and worse, doesn't it? So that your the chart you were just showing us,
Yeah.
So we don't want to miss out. But I like the idea maybe of targeting our VIP customers on the Sunday possibly, or maybe on the Friday warning people that we will start on Monday.
I think sort of. I don't know what other people feel. A couple of comments, Jackie. I do think I'd be amazed, and perhaps other people will comment, but I'd be amazed if people don't see before that Sunday. I know some people going on the Friday before that, over that weekend. So trying to get that whole first weekend in as well. That's definitely what I would say I was seeing elsewhere.
Okay.
And I think certainly from a paid media perspective, I'm sure, Ollie, everybody's been busy over the last few weeks building up their pot for retargeting and getting ready to sort of hit the the browsers that are ready to buy at that right moment in time. So I guess there's that pre-work on the performance marketing side of things, likewise starting to capture your email addresses as well to make sure that you've got people to sort of re-talk to who are showing interest in your Black Friday offers.
Yes, I think building the pot is an important bit. Actually, maybe I'll keep off that topic for the moment, Katie.
Ollie, I was just going to jump in and say that for
Yeah.
Lulu, they are looking to do a sort of spend and save offer this weekend, exclusively to the email subscribers. And as it might not convert all of the traffic, but I think it's also giving a bit of an awareness view to that VIP segment and making them feel special, so that they're sort of seeing all the newness that we put out. And then I think we'll do a bit of a deeper deeper discount over Black Friday. But I think with a spend and save offer, you're offering and boosting that AOV at the same time. So people have got to spend a bit of money to get those discounts. I think I've seen quite a lot of brands doing that as well at the moment, and it's quite a good offer.
Yeah. I mean, is that going to be the same as your Black Friday offer, or is it
No,
going to be
the Black Friday will be a
straight
blanket.
discount?
Yeah, for Black Friday,
Straight.
we're looking at doing a blanket 20%, but the spend and save is basically, I think the tiers are, first tier is if you spend 250, you get £30 off, £400, you get £70 off, and
Yeah.
750, you get £150 off. So I think the offers are sort of 15%, 17.5, and 20. So you can max out at our biggest Black Friday offer, but only if you're going to, put a few bits in your basket.
Yeah, and Emily, you obviously see other bits of as well. What would you say is the start date for Black Friday that you're seeing?
I would say that it's similarly to what it's all about, warming up the market, right? And I think from this point, it's not about what you're doing on that weekend, but how you're engaging with your customers, both new and returning, to make them ready for that period where you really want to boost conversion, and especially sort of pushing out visibility of everything new that everyone's got to offer. It's all about reach at this point, so that then you can retarget over that weekend and really boost that conversion.
Yeah, and what do you mind? Could you obviously cover other brands? Emily, what do you have a sort of official launch date for the business where you work at, not the non-Lulubi side?
I would say that it's because Black Friday is later, probably launching earlier and looking at it like a 2-week period, whether your offers increasing throughout that period or not. I would say that for most of the brands I'm working with, people are looking at it as a 2-week period.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing from talking to
Yeah,
people as
and
well.
also bringing it earlier than on a normal Black Friday, so that you're sort of maximizing. And I think that also there will be more competition earlier as well, so you don't want to miss the opportunity.
Yeah, I think, Jackie, there's a risk that you might find that Monday is a day or two behind everyone else, but it is difficult. And where we started this obviously is that you then need to have comparable uplift to get there. But yeah, that's my sense of where people are.
We'll have another look at that then.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? It's Lulu.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Lulu.
Hi. Do you think it has to be 20%? It can't be less than that. I mean, do you think people just, because there's so many discounts out there, I mean, everything is discounted, and is it even worth? I mean, I think we are doing 20%, but yeah, I was looking at your graph, which I thought was interesting and quite sobering, looking at the bottom line.
Yeah.
My gut is that there's discount absolutely everywhere you go. So are people even going to engage if it's less than 20%?
I think it's a really difficult question. I think for me, it's as long as you've got a shout that matters. If I was running sort of my own brand, I think, and I was faced with that chart I showed at the beginning.
Yes.
I think being honest, I think I would. It was one of those sort of things I was just thinking about the other day, and just as I was having a big discount conversation with someone about, are we going to do 20 or 25? And I suddenly sort of thought, well, gosh, actually, do I even know what the impact of it has to be as one makes those decisions? I think I would struggle to say that I would do 20 rather than 15. I think in an ideal way, if one could create a headline but not then have everything at the same blanket discount, I think that's always a good way of getting around that problem. But it's quite an uplift between a 15 and a 20.
Yes.
that's required to be equally profitable.
I guess it also depends on what the perceived value of your product is. So if you are really premium, really high-end product, maybe a 10% discount is actually the perceived value of that to the customer is all you need. I think you're right. It is really challenging when everything probably is the least that you see out there is 20%, but there might be some exceptions to that depending on kind of as I said, really kind of what the value of the perceived value of your product is.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess I was going to say it's also relative to your sort of trading and promotional calendar as well. If you're a brand that often offers discounts, then it might not feel as special especially to the returning customers. But for those who, for brands that don't use discounts very often, then it should have more of an impact. And I guess it's just personal to the brand, really.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it's just yeah, exactly that. It's I mean, I find this topic really hard when people ask me, should I do 15, 20, 25? I all one can do is try and have, some kind of, actually, I'm just going to talk about testing programs really, because again, I've been looking at a couple of brands recently, and one, quite big brand, and I looked across their November and December discount. Their discount line actually cost them almost £800,000, and one sort of has to go, well, there must be something that you could learn during this period that allowed us at least next year to have a better decision debate rather than is it 15-20, which is sort of the debates I've been having with people. So there are, but what I've struggled with on two brands with that discussion is actually then just managing to create the mechanics that you can do that test, because by the time you've done things, most people seem to be going site wide. So there are platforms like IntelliGems, which I think is a really good platform for discount and shipping threshold tests and all of those sorts of things. But being honest, I've struggled to get clarity that you can sort of set the test up cleanly enough. Because otherwise, the problem I think often is that blanket wide discount is great, but we just don't learn anything. So I don't think I'll be.
Hi, Ollie. Sorry, it's Jemima. Just
Hi, Jemima.
Jumping in on that. Do you think it needs to be a site-wide discount in order to have that strong call to action, or can you avoid certain products with sort of lower margins and kind of handpick a select?
Completely, to be honest, I think the most important thing is the headline shout. Whether it's up to 20% off. The fact that may not include all your products, but it is fine in my view, because again, going back to that calculator, if you change the margin, you've got some low value products, you discount 20% off them. You've got to have such huge uplifts to make the same amount of money. So I think.
And you don't think having site wide and that headline is kind of stronger than up to? I think
up to, just presentationally, I think you can, up to can be pretty small, as long as it says the number big and bold. I think that people don't spend a huge amount of time considering the small print or whatever.
So I guess there's an opportunity to segment parts of your collection as well. So even if you were to offer a certain percentage at a certain point in the period, if you see sales trailing off a bit, you could then say on X collection we're offering an extra X% or something, or say you've got a lot of availability or something, and you want to just drive that, you want to push that stock down. That's also another lever that you could look at.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, really. You changing the message up, and it's a long period to keep just bashing out the same email. So exactly that, to highlight particular products or change something around something, I think is really, because otherwise just bashing out 5-10 10 whatever emails of 20% off, even with quite a lot of creative change, is difficult to communicate that newness.
Yeah, I think certainly in the last company that I worked with at Thought, we had a structured series of content messages as you were closing out your promotion, and absolutely, Ollie, just to hone in on kind of different extra discounts or particular product areas and stuff like that to really keep the momentum going, from so that people didn't think they were just seeing exactly the same ad message or email content. What's new that can just push them to go back and have another look. I guess the other thing just to think about when you're deciding what discount strategy to have is, if you've got a lot of continuity product, just the impact of discounting that, and is that stuff that you can actually keep out of your promotional for the seasonal period.
Yeah, I think that I agree there, Katie. Katie, where would you like us to go next on this? I don't think we'll sort of over sort of flog the topic, because I think it's sort of quite a defined, it's a sort of defined period, defined decisions people have to make.
Yeah, Ollie, I think you did want to just I guess remind people in terms of your contact strategy, that you might have some people dropping out of your customer bucket, your 1-year repeaters. Might just want to touch on that for people.
Yeah, I think that's a good bit, and so Jackie, you're obviously here, seasonal businesses. What I do often see is that at the end of in this period, you've recruited a whole lot more people than normal, and then you find that actually those people haven't come back since that thing. So effectively, they're now, if you take November, they're 11th month or 10 months lapsed people, and I think there is a particular segment that's worth identifying and targeting during this period, because having looked at a few clients on this, if they don't come back this Christmas, they generally really don't come back. So I think there's a particular segment here, Katie, around those November and December buyers who haven't bought since, and segmenting them out and particularly monitoring them as a segment, and if necessary pushing different messages to them, because I think otherwise they definitely disappear, and I think that's an important one. And if it has to be a discount to get them back, or a bit of analysis on what did they buy last year, all those things I think are key to that message.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, that there might be other segments as well that you want to, lapsed customers that you are discount buyers that about. Again, there are probably some other pockets of customers that particularly during this season that you think it's worth just going back and having another go at, and then also just thinking about what your comms strategy is for the people that you're bringing on board during this Black Friday period. So for lots of us, we're probably going into sale season not too far after the Black Friday period. So again, who are the people that you've brought in this year? What's that early comms strategy for this season's kind of Black Friday customers, to, I guess, try and mitigate that impact that Ollie was talking about, that a year down the line you've seen they've not done anything in terms of their responsiveness. Anything else on segmenting and targeting, Ollie?
No, I didn't think so. I think that that's it. Is Mima's hand up, or is that left over?
Sorry, that's left out.
That's a,
Sorry.
look, but I don't know why we can't see everybody. Exactly. So cool.
Yeah. The other thing that I think it's just worth prepping up in advance that for the season on the email side of things is just being really just being ready to switch in and out your seasonal flow creative for things like abandoned baskets, abandoned browsers, all of that sort of thing. And you might obviously have your flow timings much shorter in this period to try and capture them to do the thing that you want to do. You might again kind of give them a kind of a shorter, sharper offer to sort of close them over the line in terms of that seasonal period. And I think it's much easier to get those assets already planned up in advance so that you can easily switch them in and out.
Yeah, I think actually there was I thought quite an interesting article I read the other day about actually the Tuesday after the black after the whole period, that actually that can be a sort of closeout day. So all those people who've been through flows, etc., as you've highlighted, Katie, but haven't converted, maybe there is a one more go on the Tuesday as you sort of do a sweep up of well, anyone who's welcome, not converted, anyone who's exactly as you say, abandoned cart, not converted, whether there's one more go on those. So I think I agree, those trigger emails are really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then probably on the housekeeping side of things, just as we start to wrap up, the other area, I guess, just to make sure that you've got all of your ducks in a row are shopping feeds. So have you got all the right information to for your particular campaigns that you're running? And then have you got all your tracking and signals switched on and working so that you can properly capture everybody that's showing interest during the promotional period? Making sure that your shopping feeds haven't got a whole load of out of stock stuff, so you're busy driving lots of traffic to the website and they're not sort of getting the stock that they need. Or how are you going to deal with overstocks during that period might be another one to think about.